from that developing story. And right now, the Council of Governors is expected to have a meeting when it comes to matters leadership within the COG, not actually the COG. Let me just, that story will come later on. But we're talking about the impeachment of Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu. The MCAs, the County Assembly, impeached him. The case has been taken to the Senate. And our senior political affairs reporter, Murimi Mwangi, is currently speaking to the Senate Speaker, Kenneth Lusaka, in his office, just to state the way forward when this special sitting will be done by the Senate to deliberate on the matters touching on impeachment of Ferdinand Waititu. Good morning, Murimi Mwangi. And as you speak to the Speaker of the Senate, Kenneth Lusaka, and there is a camp, you know, of the impeached Governor Ferdinand Waititu that said that that impeachment process was not due, it was not legally done because of the number of members of the County Assembly who were at the Assembly when that decision was being made.
Well, good morning, Brenda. So many legal questions dog this impeachment of Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu, and even as the Senate prepares to hold that special sitting tomorrow to deliberate on that impeachment having been communicated from the County Assembly, there are already questions about the legality of tomorrow's sitting, given the timelines that are stipulated on the impeachment process in the County Governments Act that would have required the Speaker of the Senate to communicate when the House would hold a special sitting to consider that impeachment motion from the County Assembly that was expected to be 7 days from the date of the communication from the County Assembly, which came on the 23rd, the impeachment having happened on the 19th. And there are legal questions, some saying that this sitting that is set for tomorrow ought to have happened before the end of last year. And that is going to be one of the questions that will be dogging the House Business Committee as it meets later today to plan for tomorrow's sitting. And who better person to answer that question to us than the Speaker of the Senate, Kenneth Lusaka. Speaker, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Already questions about the legality of the sitting that you are to chair tomorrow. Did you drop ball as the House of the Senate and perhaps even you as the Speaker of the Senate by not convening that sitting within the timelines that have been stipulated?
Thank you very much. One thing that I want to put clearly is that the impeachment took place when the House was on recess. And I think it was not foreseen that such would happen when the House is on recess. And for the Speaker to convene a special sitting, I need written communication from the two leadership, the leaders of the House, that's the leader of majority or the leader of minority, to be able to write to me with the backing of 15 senators, because that's our quorum. So you remember that December, when the impeachment happened in Kiambu, we had many holidays, and by the time the impeachment minutes got to me, that was we were on recess, and therefore what I used is once I received written communication from the leader of majority, I'm using standing order number 1, which then gives the Speaker the discretion to make a ruling on a matter that is not contained in the standing order. So I've combined standing order number 1 and standing order number 30, then which is provided for also in the standing orders, where the leader of majority or leader of minority writes to the Speaker requesting for a special sitting. It's in that regard that this morning we are having the House Business Committee, the committee that is charged with the responsibility of now putting that matter on the order paper for the special sitting tomorrow. So I think that should be very clear that this is the earliest we would have done it. I mean, given the circumstances we were facing, that this is it's not been there before. It's unprecedented, and therefore this is the first time we're having an impeachment coming when the House is on recess.
Well, previously, when your House has been confronted by similar predicaments on the impeachment, there has appeared to be swift convening of the special sittings. Why perhaps not the urgency, as has been presumed by those commenting on these timelines within which you communicated the special sitting? Why not that urgency with the Waititu matter, Speaker?
No, remember, I think people, let's not over-dramatize the Kiambu issue, because like I've told you, this is the first impeachment that has occurred when the House is on recess. The other impeachments that have come have occurred when the House is in session, and that makes it very, very easy, because then you just apply Standing Order number 30, which requires the leadership of the House, either the majority or minority, to write to the Speaker to convene, not even a special sitting, but just the normal sitting. So I think let's not really over-dramatize this so that it looks like there's something sinister, but this was the best way we would have done it in the circumstances.
Well, previously this House has handled impeachment motions. There have been different routes that have been adopted. But going back to the previous Parliament, when for the very first time the House decided to hold the trial against the late Nyeri Governor Nderitu Gachagua on plenary, departing from the tradition of the 11-member committee, is this one of the options that you are looking at as you meet the House Business Committee today, or it's not even at your discretion as the House Business Committee, but your members when you meet them for the special sitting? Perhaps if you could explain that to the viewers out there.
What will happen today, the Special House Business Committee will put the matter on the order paper. That is the procedure of the House. It will put the matter on the order paper for discussion tomorrow. So when we meet tomorrow, the House will then decide. There are two options: either to form an 11 committee member, the leader of majority will produce six senators, the leader of minority will produce 5, or in the alternative, have the entire House, the whole plenary, discuss the matter, in which case then if it goes the plenary way, then the matter must be concluded tomorrow through a vote. But if it goes to the committee, that will be the prerogative of the plenary, the House itself, to decide. If it goes to the committee, then they have 10 days to investigate the matter, call the governor and all witnesses that are supposed to appear, and be able to give us back a report to the plenary now within 10 days. That will take us up to about end of this month. And then on that, the matter will be discussed, and then a vote will be taken. And since this is, again, a county matter, the vote has to be taken by 24 counties as per the law.
Well, this impeachment process is as much of a legal one as it is political, heading back to what has been happening even at the county of Kiambu. And there has been talk of these political altercations seeping their way into Parliament, and now your House is on the spotlight, the politics of succession post-2022. How then do you shield your House, whichever route you take, whether it's going to be the plenary or the 11-member committee, from deviating into politics, but dealing with the specific issues that have been raised by the County Assembly of Kiambu in sanctioning the impeachment against their governor?
What I want to assure Kenyans and the whole country is that the Senate has never been involved in those, political, divisions of, and succession politics. Those things, we hear them in funerals and, other fora. But once in the House, the Senate has remained one. We had the first impeachment that has taken place, the first proceedings of an impeachment that have taken place when I'm the Speaker was the Taita Taveta one. And remember that even the governor did not come up, but the Senate went ahead to make a very objective, ruling. And the Senate, being a house of respect, will deal with what is before it. We are not going to deal with rumors. We are not going to deal with what is in the papers. I think people are trying to heighten this thing for nothing. But I know that the caliber of the senators that we have, the Senate has always remained objective. It has remained one. And whatever decision they will make will be an informed decision based on what will be before it. Just like in court, we don't manufacture. We are not going to manufacture anything outside what would be presented in the House. And the committee, or if there is the House that will look, they will look at all the allegations. They will give an opportunity to the governor and anybody else who has any information to be able to give to the House so that we make an informed decision. So some of these things that we are reading in the papers, I think people are just trying to heighten them. I don't know where they're getting them, but my assurance as the Speaker of the Senate is that the Senate will be as objective as possible. I doubt that we'd want to drag those things that we hear outside there in other forums, in funerals and that to the House, the floor of the House. I'm sure that justice will be done in this matter.
Speaker, I know there are limitations into what you can talk about in terms of what will be the trial before the Senate. But finally, there has been a perception that given that some of the issues that were raised by the County Assembly are matters before court, that the Senate will be attempting to separately prosecute a case that is also before court. And this is something that has even come up before when impeachment motions have come up against governors before the Senate. The question of the clash between whatever is going to be happening in the chambers and what is before the courts in that very heated court case facing the Kiambu governor.
Those are some of the issues that are the Senate is going to look at. What has been presented, they're going to look at the allegations, and we should be able to separate matters that are already in court, so that we don't we have this what we call sub judice. We don't get into matters that are already before a court of law. So those are the things that the House Business Committee will be looking at. Those are the things that the House will be looking at tomorrow. So they look at the merits of the issues that have been raised, so that we separate. If they are not matters that touch that are already in a court of law, then I think that will not then be the decision of the House Business Committee and the decision of the Senate tomorrow when they meet, to be able to come up with a position on how to proceed with this matter.
Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka speaking to us about that a special sitting of the Senate that will be happening tomorrow to consider the impeachment of Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu, and legal questions already emerging on the legality of that sitting happening tomorrow. And these are issues we expect even Waititu's legal team to raise when he appears before the House tomorrow. Back to you, Brenda, in studio.
Reporter Murimi Mwangi giving us an in-depth discussion about the Waititu's impeachment motion, talking to the Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka. Taking us to another commercial break. But I need to remind you about our Twitter question this morning. We're asking you whether you support